Hi guys! It's finally time to talk about my Danganronpa 2x2 predictions. If you weren't aware, Danganronpa 2 is getting a remaster alongside a whole new game scenario, where a mysterious event causes the entire plot of the game to change, giving us new murders, killers, and cases. You should have seen my reaction when it was announced. I was so excited, seeing Nagito standing over me. I had kind of given up on getting new Danganronpa content as the last game came out almost 10 years ago. I also love the new art style, and Monokuma looks so cute. For my predictions, I'll go through each character individually, and also make some guesses about what I think some of the cases will be. And disclaimer, of course, this is all my opinion. It's just a bit of fun, so don't get mad if you don't like what I'm about to say. Also, spoiler warning for Danganronpa 2. For Hajime, I think they'll either keep him as the usual hero or they'll try and do something crazy with him. I could see them pulling a V3 and starting the game with him only to swap the player character to Chiaki, as we the player already know that she's the traitor, so the plot twist wouldn't hit as hard. However, in the release trailer, he's seen with Nagito exploring a new area, so I'm not fully convinced that will happen. It would also be interesting to see him be the blackened in the case, maybe even getting away with the murder and getting everyone killed. However, I'm not sure how they'd make a satisfying ending with this. So, I'm gonna say I think he'll probably just be a survivor as usual. Nagito is the antagonist of the game, so of course they'll probably keep him around as long as they can. If they killed him off early, it would make the game kinda boring. I think possibly this time he might end up as a survivor, especially due to his popularity as a character. Also, being the ultimate lucky student can make the plot more interesting, as it's one of the only things that can work against Monokuma. I don't have too many thoughts on him, but I'm excited to see what shenanigans he gets up to this time. I'm also reminded of that one tweet that's like, I hope Danganronpa gets exactly one more game and Nagito marries a woman. Like Hajime, I think there's a chance she'll play a similar role as she did in the original game. I'd like to see her come forward with her inside knowledge earlier on in the game, but if I remember correctly, she wasn't able to do it in the original as it would possibly cause the Neo World program to fail. Like I mentioned earlier, I would love to see her be made the player character, as it would be super fun to see the killing game from her perspective and see the conversations that she and Monomi have. Then we'd also finally have a proper female protagonist. Sorry, Kaede. I mentioned in my terrible media video how I thought that Fuyuhiko could be the first victim in the game. During the first murder, he's in his villa while everyone else attends the party in the lodge. This would give someone the perfect opportunity to sneak away and take him out. I'd be very sad to see him go though, as Fuyuhiko is one of my favorite characters. However, he's already had his time as a survivor, so the chance of him surviving again is pretty low. I'd also accept him as a blackened, although I'm not sure Peko Peko would allow it, and technically he already was a blackened in the second case of the original game. However, if the party is completely removed from the plot, then this prediction just goes straight out the window. I still think he'll end up a victim though. Rest in peace. For Peko Peko, I think an early Fuyuhiko death could lead to a whole new path and character development for her. I could see her figuring out who she is without being connected to Fuyuhiko, and developing her own personality. I'd even go as far to say that I'm betting that she'll probably end up as one of the survivors, as I don't think many people would try to fight her with her sword fighting skills. Slay Queen. I'm really looking forward to more Byakuya content. He was a really solid character, pun intended, and I wanted to see more of him, but sadly, he was swiftly taken out as the first victim in the original game. I can imagine him taking charge in the class trials, and if my idea of Chiaki becoming the protag comes true, he would make a great sidekick character. I also hope he gets the chance to come out as the ultimate imposter to the group, as I feel like that was quietly glossed over in the original game. My prediction is he'll either end up as one of the survivors or taking the bullet for someone else. He seems just like a really nice guy. Now, Teru Teru. Listen, I could hope and pray that he somehow gets taken out within the first or second trial, but I know that that's probably not going to happen. Please, 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 Danganronpa gods. Please kill him off. I know there are some people who like him, but I am not one of them. I want to see him killed and far, far away from all my favorite characters. I actually think he might get taken out during the third trial in a double kill. Like, they might keep him around longer than they originally did for the lols, but his whole sex pest shtick is gonna get old pretty quickly. If they kill him off, they'll probably put him in a sexual death position or something. Anyway, enough about him. Moving on. I don't really have much to say about Nekomaru. I do think he has the potential to be a survivor. However, what I'm mostly thinking about is whether or not they'll turn him into Mechamaru again. It was his own decision outside of a trial to challenge Monokuma, leading to his transformation, so I could see him making the same choice again, possibly even dying from Monokuma's blow. However, in a similar vein to Teru's jokes, if they went with Mechamaru again, he could also end up being overdone if he stuck around too long. I could tell he was going to be the victim of the original 4th trial simply because of the amount of attention he was getting regarding him being a robot. So I'm gonna say, if he makes it to the end, he'll remain human. But I still think he'll challenge Monokuma, leading to his death. Akane is someone I could see becoming a blackened. She has a temper and a strong desire to gain strength and fight. One bad impulsive decision could end with her killing someone. If she did kill someone, it would be interesting to see the interaction between Nekomaru and her. I could see him telling her off and Akane feeling guilty of her actions, accepting her fate and being executed. If she were to kill, I feel like the 2nd trial would be a good time for it. I predict her victim would be Mikan, as maybe she gets sick of Mikan's emotional weaknesses. Mahiru is another character I could see becoming a killer. The reason she gets killed in the original game is because she helped cover up the murder of Fuyuhiko's sister, resulting in Fuyuhiko taking revenge. She's not a stranger to death, so there's a possibility she might even end up as the first blackened. If she took out Fuyuhiko in the first trial due to their past, it would make sense motivation-wise. I would be sad to see her out so early in the game again. There's also a chance they won't even touch on their history at all in the story, so I'm not super confident about this one. However, I still think she'll become the blackened. I really want to see Hiyoko kill someone. She's so small and feisty, I want to see what they come up with for her trial. If she killed Teru, I'd be very satisfied. However, what I'd be more interested in seeing is her reaction to the photo of her as an adult in the final chapter. She'd add a unique dynamic to the survivors. And I'd love to see some character development for her too outside of her mean-spirited personality. So I'm actually going to predict that she survives. Ibuki is another one of those characters where I'm not really sure where she'll end up just based on her personality. She's very happy-go-lucky, so unless something changes her within, I can't see her becoming a murderer. I think if they were going to double kill a character, it would be Ibuki. I'm sorry, Ibuki. I do like you, but there's just not much to you. I think we'll just have to wait and see with her. Like I mentioned before, I could see Mikan becoming a victim early on in the game. She's another one of those quirky characters that the Danganronpa team like to kill early simply so they don't have to write them anymore. She is quite a well-liked character, so maybe she'll get popularity armor until later on in the game. I highly doubt she'll kill again, as the only reason she killed in the first game was because she remembered her despair. I would love to see her developed as a character, however, Danganronpa isn't known for its character development. So I'm gonna say she'll end up as a victim. Gundam is one of my favorite characters in the entire series, so I'd love to see him make it all the way to the end. However, I'm not really sure if they would split him and Sonya up again, the same way they did in the original. I could see him killing himself with Sonya in a sort of Romeo and Juliet situation in Trial 3. He seems like the dramatic type who would be capable of that. There is a possibility that he could be killed by Kazuichi out of jealousy. However, this seems out of character for Kazuichi, and I feel like that would have already happened in the first game if he had the motivation for it. Sonya is one of my strongest candidates for being a killer. She's really into serial killers, and her kingdom is very military-based, so who knows what kind of combat training she has. There could be a situation where she feels like she needs to step up from being the ultimate princess to being the ultimate queen, and acts against her own desires for the sake of her country. Like I said before, I'd be so sad if she and Gundam got separated again. Let them be together, Spike Chunsoft. They make such a good couple. She could also take advantage of Kazuichi's infatuation with her for killing purposes, whether to make him kill someone else or to trick him into becoming the victim. However, this feels too close in plot to Celeste's trial, so I don't think they'd go down that road. Now, hear me out. Wouldn't it be really funny if Kazuichi ends up a survivor again? His character is interesting, as I don't think he has the guts to kill anyone, nor do I think he'd let himself be killed by anyone other than Sonya. I mean, that's how he survived the original game. If Sonya commands it, he may follow killing orders for the chance of romance, but I'm still not fully convinced. Despite the general consensus of him, I do actually like him a lot as a character, so fingers crossed he makes it to the end again. That's my one silly prediction. I think Monomi will generally go wherever Chiaki goes. If Chiaki dies, she'll die too. If Chiaki survives, she'll survive as well. I don't think they'll change much with her character, although they could create a very heartfelt moment where Monomi sacrifices herself for Chiaki's survival. It would be very funny to see her as a killer, however, I think they'll keep the killing to the main cast. With Monokuma, I'm wondering if they'll keep the same ending as the original game or if they'll switch it up. I was thinking if they wanted to continue with the Danganronpa canon past V3, they might be able to pull some strings and dig some plot holes to make it work. As canonically, the characters are in a simulation and are even aged down from their real ages. They also all survive in the end, so surely it's not too hard to shove them back in and go for round 2. This would contradict the ending to V3, but it wasn't a very good ending anyway, so who cares? Having a different mastermind could also be interesting. If the story was set before V3, they could bring back Tsunugi and maybe even set things up for a 50-second killing game with Rentaro, but that's a very hopeful thought. And I'm not really sure what they plan to do with the series after this. So, that's all my thoughts for Danganronpa 2x2. What do you think? Are my predictions good? Do you think they're ass? I'd love to hear what your predictions are. Feel free to yap as much as you'd like in the comments below because I want to read your opinions. Thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you next time.